So welcome back. It's the what is it now? Don't even know what the date is. 14th of December, and yeah, we're out of the water, and maintenance has started. As you can see, I've turned it upside down. Most of the stuff is off now, except for a few cushions. Most of the charts are off. One of the first jobs is the starboard side quarter berth, and I'll show you what's going on there. Basically, what was here was like a chart table that went across, and those two bits of wood at the back are like the holding brackets. Basically, I've taken that off because I'm coming up with a new design, and the other thing I want to do is paint this because it's all this flaky kind of white, whatever this paint is, hasn't held to the hull, and yeah, you can kind of see what's going on here. It's a big flaky mess, and that's got to come off. I'm not sure exactly what's happened here, but it looks like potentially they've not used like a marine paint, or the paint that they've used is marine paint and it's been painted while the area is damp. There's a lot of scenarios, but yeah, it's just it is coming off obviously very easily, but the main thing here is just to get a key on the hull to get the what we are going to put on, so it won't do the same thing. So I'm on at the painting stage, and I'm not too sure whether I should use top lac or Damberline. I've gone for the Damberline option because I've used it in the 4 peak previously. It's really, to be honest, it's really good on any surface. You don't really need to spend as much time with Damberline in getting the surface preparation good. It's a bit of a one coat wonder hit as well, so you just like whack it on and walk away from it. The only thing is, putting this stuff on, it absolutely stinks and it's not very good for you. So all I can suggest is that you give yourself a few breaks in between, especially working in an area like this because there's not a lot of ventilation. Unless of course you're a hardcore yacht maintenance man and or woman, and you just crack on with anything and get high and then decide that you're going to have a break. So you can see it's going on pretty well, and that's just one coat. Yeah, starting from the back and working to the front so I don't end up touching any of the surfaces. I'll probably just do the sort of the top of this quarter berth today, and then leave the sides for maybe a later date. It is really just so when you're asleep you're not getting showered with flaky bits of paint really, which was a bit annoying. So yeah, so far so good. Okay, so it's the 30th of December and I'm down the boat for essential maintenance. Got a bit of a job to clean the cockpit lines out, because one of them is actually blocked, and it's holding up water in the cockpit. I'll just show you what I mean. So similar setup to pretty much every other boat out there. You've got the port and starboard holes, so that if you're keeled over, it's always going to run out to sea and not fill up. So you've got this side here, I think it's the one that's blocked, and this valve is going to need replacing because it looks like it's seized and the handle's broken off at some point. So I need to do a bit of work there. Also, in the dark depths of the well, I don't know what you could call this really, it's below the cockpit. That's the cockpit floor there. In the back there is the rudder tube hosing, or the socket if you like. I've got to get up there and just inspect the gland and see how that's faring up. So I've just taken that off. water coming in there, but nothing major. This one's going to take a bit more effort, I think. There's a lot of silicone on there. I might be wrong. There's one. Doesn't look too bad, but as you can see, there's all sorts of lovely things in there, and that's what I'm trying to clean out. I've got both of these hoses off, the draining hoses for the cockpit. As I've already mentioned, the port side is doesn't have a handle. I think it's seized open. Just try and check that now. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this with this method. Probably not. I think that's just I think I need a wrench on that. Maybe. Let's see what I've got. I don't think I've got anything like that. No, I haven't. So, I think it's probably worthwhile me just putting the hose back on for now and getting a new valve. I don't think they're that much money. Obviously, I need to reuse that section for the pipe, but that will just screw off the bulkhead gland there, or the hull gland, and I believe that's a 3/4 inch. I'm just gonna have to find out. I think it is. The next mission is getting up there, and I'm just hoping I'm not gonna get stuck, because that would be quite embarrassing. Right, your turn next. Okay. Right, there we go. I feel like I'm sort of World War One tunneler. Okay. So what happened traditionally is that this stern tube was made from, well, basically I'll start from beginning. The rudder post runs down inside that, and traditionally that was made from a piece of steel. Unfortunately, steel and salt water don't mix too well, and over time they corroded. So there is a few replacements, and when they do corrode, when they pop, they'll pop just where the gland is. So you get some early owners that are suddenly terrified of the fact that they've got water coming into the boat, and it's
it's likely to be coming up through this point here. Now, this has been replaced at some point, replaced with what is like a hard tube, like a hard plastic hose, and then positioned over the gland with clips. So that is one way of getting around that problem. Some might say it's not the best, but there are plenty of Hurleys out there that are sailing with this modification. Now, the other one is to fit a stainless steel tube all the way through the hull, and then bond in the gland on the outside, so it's all one tube, if you like, that runs right through the deck. So there's no chance of that. This is my worry on this modification, is that this point here fails. I'm left with a similar situation as what was obviously before, but it looks like at some point, or this sort of colouring here, I'm guessing is when the previous post was in rusting away, and it's just discoloured the hull, the inside of the hull. So, but I'm really here just to inspect it and just see what the condition of it is like. Which doesn't look too bad, but I don't think it's got too much longer. And those bolts there, which this piece of wood is a bit of a mystery, to be fair. It's I think it's been used to bed the or it'd be used as like a giant washer basically for the sea gland, which these bolts are actually part of these four here. So I think if I'm going to do anything, I'm going to replace those bolts, because it's not going to be, I mean, the gland is glassed on the outside, but those bolts don't look too sharp, to be honest. So yeah, this is a bit of a picture that you don't really often see, because it's an absolute pain in the ass to get to. Some people put hatches in the cockpit, but I'm not going to do that. So yeah, I'm just going to give it a good looking over, but I think, as I've said, the bolts are going to have to definitely be replaced before that wood rots. It's going to be a bit of a funny one. I was kind of like expecting to see washers where those bolts are, but there isn't any. So if the wood rots, then the bolts are just going to rot with it. So yeah. So that wasn't actually as bad as I thought it was going to be. I checked the bolts coming through the hull, and they're actually not too bad. I just scraped over the nuts just to check, and it's they are stainless. So yeah, I don't think they'll need. My only concern is just that the wood is just, it looks like it's rotting, but it's been treated with something quite tough. So probably some sort of marine sort of grey wood sealant or something like that. So it looks like a reasonable job, and with the bolts being stainless, they're not corroding, so that's quite a good sign. But yeah, the hose is in good nick as well. Doesn't look like it's splitting or anything like that. That sort of hose would take quite a lot of sort of brute force, I suppose, to crack them anyway. It's the same stuff as the cockpit hoses, so yeah, it's quite a good job, to be fair, and really not really any need to inspect that in the next couple of years anyway, so or do anything with it, so unless it starts to leak or cause any problems that way around. So yeah, glad I've done that. If you've got a Hurley or any boat, yeah, definitely worth checking the rudder tube stuffing box. If you've got an engine, an inboard engine, usually people worry a lot about the gland on that, but if you've got an internal rudder tube, then that is something else to be aware of. If your rudder hangs over the back, then yeah, you don't have to worry about that.
Hey, happy New Year to you all, and just about to leave the boatyard here.
I've just come down to put some covers on because it's just been constantly raining, and I'm a bit concerned about water getting in the boat. There's a lot on the deck, and it has been icing over during the night. So yeah, the other thing I've done is taken my 3/4 inch sink bronze C valve off because it's the non-corrosion resistant type. I wasn't actually sure what it was because I couldn't really see where it was, you know, sort of from the light, and I couldn't see on the side of the body if it had the markings on. But it's a cheap and nasty, well, not cheap and nasty, it's sort of like the cheaper type valve which isn't corrosion resistant. It's quite new still. It doesn't look like it's been on there very long, but the internals look like they've started to go. So yeah, something to be aware of, especially if you're in a marina, and that any electrolysis will speed up that process of what they call desinctification corrosion. So yeah, this is why you have proper marine valves with the C marking, the corrosion resistant marking. So likewise with that one, both of the 1-inch cockpit valves are going to be replaced with actually plastic or composite type valves. I've bought a couple from True Design, and that includes the whole fitting. So it's the skin fitting, the valve, and the hose connector. So pretty much you know, not anything to worry about with them in future. There are some stainless parts on those valves, but yeah, there is some corrosion with them in the right, you know, situation. But yeah, otherwise they're much sort of lighter than the bronze valves, and not a lot of difference in price either now. So I've gone for them. Quite highly regarded by marine surveyors as well now. So yeah, that's all, and my sort of next visit down here will be to change them out. There is a little bit of a waiting time on those because of obviously because of COVID-19 restrictions and businesses struggling a little. So yeah, stay tuned and stay safe.